Given that we are just about halfway done through this year, and I talk a lot about this idea that AI doubles every 6 months, I think it's time to really quantify what has changed in the first 6 months of the year. And I can't find a better way to do this than to revisiting the PM Trends report that came out December of 2024, right? Exactly 6 months ago. Let's talk about the stats in that report, what the market is telling us, which essentially there's a bunch of stats in there that say owners, our clients, right, landlords are asking for things that we are not meeting, and we're not meeting it by a lot, right? And I feel like those stats felt impossible when that report came out. And right now I'm seeing a real crack of a light at the end of the tunnel of how we actually meet those expectations. I think you're going to find this really interesting. Check it out. Welcome to the Property Management Frame Breakers podcast. I'm your host, Pablo Gonzalez, and I am here to introduce you to the folks in the property management space that have broken the frame of what you may believe was possible. This podcast is presented by Vendoroo. It is your all-in-one AI solution for resolving your maintenance needs. Let's go. So let's just start with, these stats. Right. One of the things that we're seeing and that we saw in this report that were really pretty alarming is the idea that 57% of property owners expect a response from their property manager within an hour. 92% of them expect it within a day. Yet only 47% of their say that their property managers meet their expectations, right? They meet that 1 day expectation. Another stat that we're going to attack here is the fact that owners consistently show that they want more availability and involvement, but without extra effort, right? Here's the stat. 65% of investors want to be involved in day-to-day decisions, right? So, but they don't want to feel overwhelmed with logistics and these types of things, right? And then last but not least, owners' expectations for speed on maintenance repairs. 72% of owners expect repairs to be completed in 3 days or less, with the actual industry benchmark, according to Meld's data, is that the speed is 6.1 days, right? So we're going to attack those three statistics individually here. And, I got the sense that when all this stuff came out at the end of 2024, there was a lot of like, man, that sounds unreasonable, right? Like, do they even understand everything that it goes into doing all the value that we provide, right? The thing that we call at Vendoroo the invisibility trap. There's so many tasks behind the scenes around communications, around getting a work order resolved, around being able to say yes to like one-off things. There's so much involved there that owners just don't understand because we have so many different things that we touch as property managers that, each little thing is like this like deviance off of like a standard that we can promise, right? Like we don't want to set our teams up to fail by over-promising and under-delivering. And if we are setting them up to like these unreasonable expectations and driving them to the ground of like researching too much to answer everything and having to get done with it every single day, we also risk burnout and we risk alienating our team, right? So like, what can we do? I think that the latest advances in AI hold the key to this stuff. So let's go one by one here. This ability of wanting a response time in an hour by 57% or 92% of them wanting within a day, right? Like what happens in a typical I want a response scenario here for an owner, right? Like if it's a maintenance thing, likely you're doing one of these like work order dives, right? You're like laying out all the emails, all the different communications with the vendor, what was delivered to the resident and what wasn't, what the quotes were, all these different types of things, and you're analyzing them. That by itself might take you 1 to 3 hours. If you have 3 of those in one day, boom, your day's shot. right? So how are you supposed to get back in an hour? Well, similar to back in the day when you used to have to, if you're looking up something, you'd Google it and maybe you'd get a good response at first. But lately, now if you Google something like a recipe, first you got to like scroll through this entire article that is keyword optimized for it to rank until you finally get to like a recipe at the bottom. And then ChatGPT came along, right? And all of a sudden you can ask something and you get a response. Perplexity came along. You ask something, you get a response, you get cited quotes and different things. As generative AI solutions integrate into your property management systems or are created to, like live to connect all of your different communication channels, an interface where all you do is say, hey, what's going on at 123 Main Street? And bam, it's all there. It's not just like, oh, this is the status. It is, oh, actually, this got reached out to, this wasn't complied with, this is what's happening, right? Even further, true agentic providers are able to build in like sentiment analysis. So you can ask things like, oh, is the resident happy? Does it feel like we pissed off a vendor? Things of the sort, all the way to expanding to the idea, and this is a big idea, of you just logging into your PM system, having an AI that you say, hey, do I have any fires to put out today? Right? And it being able to respond, well, actually no house is on fire, but it looks like this would be what I would prioritize right now because XYZ happened and we're not sure about this, right? That's happening right now, right? Like that is essentially what we call PMRoo, which is our AI agent that serves as a Chrome extension or embedded into your Slack channel, embedded into your actual software where you can do that while working on a work order, right? So it goes from work order diving every time you get a question to an immediate answer. Right. And I'm sure that there's other folks that are doing this on the leasing side and things of the sort. If not, it's coming. Right. So that is one way that we can start answering this idea of like, oh, owners want it back within an hour. How about 15 minutes? Because all we have to do is prompt this thing. And eventually, and this isn't happening yet anywhere I've seen, but eventually you're going to get a question from an owner that's going to come in and the agent's going to immediately pick it up, ask that question themselves, create the response themselves, send it to you to just be like, oh, is this good or not good? And you just click it and it goes. Right. So that light at the end of the tunnel is coming. Let's talk about the next one. Availability and involvement without extra effort. Now that sounds like a nightmare, right? Like if each of your owners are just like, oh yeah, but on this property I want this, and in that property I want that, and oh, this resident, I want to make an exception for them. That obviously seemed impossible at the end of 2024 because that would mean creating a new policy, training the team on any kind of like change that happens. And then worse, right? Like anytime your teammate is looking into making a decision or helping somebody out, they got to go through like each individual kind of like document for each tenant and property and client. And it's just too many things to fact check, right? Enter agentic AI. Enter the idea that a light really turned on for one of our clients recently as we were training them on Vendoroo, which is the resident-facing troubleshooting software, troubleshooting, triaging, work order creation software. We were going through a work order, and they realized, in this residence, there is an elderly person that's been there for like 10 plus years. A, they're not going to be able to troubleshoot anything because they're elderly. And B, they're just like a high value resident that the owner doesn't want messed with. So anytime anything comes in from this property, just dispatch a vendor. And we're like, oh yeah, cool. You just speak it into existence. The AI learns it. And now it's in those property notes and that will forever happen. But then we realize, oh my God, what if every single time something happens at a property and you think, oh, at that property, I want to make this exception. All you have to do is like speak it into existence. All of a sudden it's codified into the response and how it's all handled. And now you can start to like customize house by house and understand that anytime something like that happens, the intelligence that's going to do it is automatically going to scan for all that stuff in half a second and be able to create these experiences. Could you customize it by house? Could you customize it by resident? Could you customize it by client? Yeah. Now the burden is no longer there. And this idea of giving owners the availability that they're, like the involvement that they deserve. Like, oh, you got an idea about this one property? Yeah, sure, we can do it. Doesn't take a big thing outside of like telling the AI, and the AI creates the process immediately and is able to warranty that process, right? Like that's going to be a big moment of owners receiving what they want once this becomes the norm, once people realize that this is available and they start doing it, right? So like right now we just had that aha moment. I'm looking forward to seeing how these stats improve as more and more of our clients are doing this. Just like, oh, yep, I can do this. Okay, I'm going to do this. And then now where else can I do this, right? It's kind of like the effect of AI, the oh crap moment of AI, of like, oh crap, I can do this, right? And then let's talk about 72% of owners expecting repairs to be completed in 3 days, and most of us being able to do it in 6 days. So what's happening there? When a resident has an issue, right? Like let's say I have an issue, I work a 9 to 5, it's really hard for me to take time off, and like my dishwasher is broken. So I put in a maintenance ticket about it. Ideally, the move is like, oh, okay, cool. Well, let me just kind of like talk you through some troubleshooting here so that you can like see if it's fixable. We don't have to send somebody. Or it's, hey, I need you to check a couple things so I can tell the vendor exactly what it needs. Well, I'm at work, right? I'm not going to be at home till 6 because I got to go, like do groceries on the way back and blah, 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 blah. At 6, is your office open? Are you having like an emergency response line doing this stuff? No. Right? So that delays things on the ability to make a really, really good decision, not being there on your resident schedule. The opposite side is like have your team work like these like double shifts, right? And like have these double shifts and, like that. I don't know how that impacts your quality of life of having to, monitor that, or maybe it's just you doing it. Now let's shift the perspective to something that we recently saw. Same thing. Resident called in. Their dryer was malfunctioning. She wanted to do laundry that night. She wasn't going to get home till 10 p.m. And as she is texting with Vendoroo, she's like, well, I'm not going to be home for 10 p.m. And Vendoroo's response, oh, no problem. I'll be here at 10. Just shoot me a text when you get home. And the person was like, oh my God, are you serious? You're going to really help me out at 10 p.m.? And the AI was like, yeah, of course. I'll be here for you. Right? So now start thinking about that effect down the line. If somebody has something wrong with their thing, they can't take off work for a couple of days, but they can come home after work, text, and either troubleshoot and get it done, close it immediately, or diagnose it properly to now get that work order going, get that vendor like aligned and dispatched and scheduled. What's that going to do to those days on repair? Do you think it's going to lower it from 6 to 3? I think there's a pretty good shot of that, right? So the bottom line is these things, these like agentic issues, nobody had a way to solve it before, right? Like even us 6 months ago, we were still heavily relying on like humans being able to be there for that, to use the AI, to whatnot. But now as everything turns AI first, here's the aha, right? You can now tell your owners, you can now tell your tenants, you now have 5-star quality service, customizable to your schedule and your needs 24 hours a day, right? That is AI receptionist taking a call. That's an AI text troubleshooting at whatever time you need. That is the ability to get an answer immediately as soon as a question is asked. Right? Like that is now happening, but most people don't realize that that's happening. Even our own clients, right? Like even our own clients are just starting to have the light turned on. So for right now, that's a huge advantage, right? Like eventually that's going to be normalized, but right now that's a huge advantage, A, to be doing that, right? And B, to be advertising that. So just imagine if your next conversation is like, oh, that's cool that you're like talking between us and us. And yeah, this is our service fee, but are they able to do this at 10 p.m. at night? Right? Like to me, that's the big aha. And what it all kind of adds up to for me is that we are finally now able to give our clients, right, our stakeholders, the owners and the residents, what they've always asked for. And we are just scratching the surface of that. These are just new capabilities that are the worst today than they'll ever been. So imagine getting on early right now, starting to do this, starting to build out your company like that. It's a major advantage to show up to the market like this. So if you're already a Vendoroo client, I would highly, highly suggest you update your messaging to start saying this. And if you're not, I think it's time to try this thing out and not fall behind here, because there is a really nice window of opportunity to gain market share based on this messaging and based on giving clients what they actually want. Don't sleep on it.